So, if that is okay.
Okay, okay.
So I will just quietly leave. So it's just
All
me
right. So
and just the two of us.
the three of us, well,
Okay.
yeah. So
Okay.
but so what I was thinking is I had wanted to kind of do a big picture look at the art world and help to demystify some of that. But what I think might be good is because there's so few of us, today might be a really good time to kind of talk with each one of you to come up with a real plan, a plan of action, and sort of a way that you can see yourself moving forward at the beginning of this year for, putting your work out in the public. Does that sound like something that might be a good idea?
Yes.
Just
Hmm.
to talk about
Let
it,
me get my stand, Marina, from the
yeah,
kitchen.
yeah.
Hmm.
So let's do that. And then in the process of talking about this, I do think we'll hit on some of the um, what sort of makes sense for people when you're coming into this after having been away for a while, or you're coming into it after having another career for a while. We all kind of come into this in very different ways. Some people go to art school, and that's another, kind of a way in, and you're almost you're given more of a track to follow, I think, when you have that experience, as opposed to, coming to art later, or, coming from adult education where you're, maybe coming from different kinds of classes, but no focus really on a professional, route to travel. So I think, we really can talk a little bit about all those things tonight. And I'm wondering who wants to start first. So we have about 20 minutes to focus on
Well,
point of
Shazi
view.
should start first
Shazia, yeah,
because to
let's
leave.
start with Shazia because you have to leave
Sure.
early. Ah.
Hmm. So, as far as showing my work is concerned, I recently had two kind of options available to me. One was the Atlantic Gallery in New York City. My only concern with that is it seems like as if they show your work only for a couple of weeks, the rotation. And I was looking at the cost if
Yeah.
I'm like paying like maybe around if I like combine it with different artists, it becomes like much not cheaper, but I think the same around $1,500 maybe to $2,000 per year
Okay, well,
to
hey,
show your work.
let's step back. So
Okay.
the Atlantic Gallery, you and we can bring this up on the computer. I mean, I
Yes.
actually had a piece in a show there last year. It's a cooperative gallery in New York City,
Mm-hmm.
and that's pretty cool. Because you're in New York. What I want to do is just bring this up. Oops, sorry.
Gosh,
Okay.
I thought my desktop was insane.
Oh no, mine is horrible. Yeah. So, and Chazi, yes, you had sent that to me. So tell me where you are. Can you all see this? Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, good. Okay. Tell me where you are in that process. Did you apply yet?
No, I did not apply yet
Ah,
because there is another option. What I'm looking is I'm trying to find something local. So
okay.
I have already emailed one of the gallery owner here where I frequently go
Yeah.
so that he can give me some sort of he does a portfolio review type
Oh, okay.
work too.
Yeah.
So just to
Uh-huh.
give me an some idea,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
do I stand and maybe if he can help me show my work in Atlanta. So I
That's
was just
great.
looking for an local option, but then another option which I was a bit confused about was about a friend who has opened a gallery in Rhode Island in Granite. I don't know. It's called New England Contemporary, but the artwork is very uh realistic
Mm,
and it's super realistic.
okay.
So, and they want to add some abstract art to their, inventory.
Yeah.
And it's a new gallery. It's
Uh-huh.
yes, it's a new gallery, but and she sent me a contract, but I did not like the contract as much because they were saying 50-50 and as opposed to 40-60. it was, I think at this point, I'm not looking for exactly for selling my work. I want more exposure. So I don't know
Hmm,
how to do that.
okay.
I know kind of how to do that, but but I need guidance whether, uh, I don't know,
Right.
with this friend place, I was like, okay, but I was a bit,
Yeah.
uh,
All right. Well,
uh,
let's step back just for a second then.
yeah,
So, I was excited about the Atlantic Gallery for you.
yeah,
It's a cooperative, and we were talking about how cooperatives are not a bad option.
options to start with,
Yeah,
definitely.
and
Yeah,
in New York City, and as long as you don't have to be there to sit the gallery, and they don't mind you being off
yes,
campus, then if
yes.
you got into it, I would, I would do that for a while, see how it goes.
Exactly. I know there are some rules that you have to do some sittings and all that, but that's what I need to sort through out,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
with it's so is it okay? Or if it is really something that I have to do, then I will do that too.
Yeah.
Because I do visit New York,
That's right.
So I
So
will
that's
just yeah.
Yeah, that's not out of the so I thought that was really a good idea,
Mm-hmm.
and to be in New York gives you a lot of visibility. And there's something to be said for that. As for the
Yes.
other gallery, in Greenwich, you're right. It doesn't really look like your kind of work, Shazia. Um,
Yeah, because I know they want to add abstract color, but I told them, the kind of gallery you have, I won't step in. Because I know when the gallery has they have so many artists that they are representing, and they are just they started out, so they are just,
yeah,
I just don't want my piece to be in one of the walls in the corner.
yeah,
Okay, I
yeah.
just didn't want that. Yeah.
I think you want is a chance to have like a solo show at a gallery,
Yes,
right?
or at least with a couple of artists, but the
Yeah,
theme should be like,
yes,
abstract collages, whatever, in that, so that people who are interested in them come and have a look at that. So
exactly.
yeah.
So, from what you've told me, I think seeing somebody who lives in your area who can give you some ideas of galleries that might be open to your work is a really good idea. And,
Mm-hmm.
you're right. Like, what do we want out of this experience of showing our work? Um, I think a lot of it is just simply to show what we've been doing, to share what we've been
Yes.
making with the world,
Mm-hmm.
to, have a kind of a communication with somebody who really resonates with work. That's really exciting if that happens. And the possibility of selling is always nice. Let's be
Yes.
honest. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that your work is saleable. Let's do a quick peek at your website just so everybody can
I
remember.
launched the website. The website was launched, but I kind of announced it on the Instagram day before yesterday.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And
Congratulations.
thank you. My son helped me with a little bit of a small a reel, and then I posted that, and I thought at least, that's how you start. You have to tell people that you have a website now.
That's
Now the
right.
question was, should you sell your work on your website? Is that an option that I
Oh
should
boy. Yeah,
have or should not have? And how to price, because the Boston gallery, that Rhode Island one, she was
yeah.
asking about the price, and I was completely clueless about it
All right.
because I have not done that before, and I was like, well, I was honest because I have not done
Right.
any marketing before, so
Right.
I don't know how to start on that. So
Right. Well,
yeah.
let's try to talk about that here. And
Yes.
so we'll spend about 20 minutes on everybody. So everybody gets a chance to really and please, Shelley and Mary, interject if you have some thoughts as well. But let's start. So let's just come back a little bit. So that's great that you put your website out on Instagram, and that is a good way to do it. That is a good
Mm-hmm.
way to direct people to go to your website. But it's not enough to just do it once.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You want to do it, several times. But if you keep posting your work and you have a link to your website on your Instagram account,
Mm-hmm.
then people will start to go to it more often. Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
As for putting your prices on your website, so you know, uh, the people that I've been in touch with about this mostly say don't do that. Because
Mm-hmm.
if there's a gallerist who's looking at your work to possibly sell it,
Mm-hmm.
um, I think that's a conversation that you want to have privately with somebody. And, it may be different than what you had thought. So I would
Okay.
not, but, and people have different thoughts about it. I don't have the prices on my work right now.
Mm-hmm.
I just, yeah, I just don't. And, Shelley, do you have any thoughts about that? What do you think about putting prices on the website?
I think it should be a separate category if you're gonna do
Yeah.
it. So you have a shop button.
Yeah. You could add a
Um,
shop, right? You could do that if you wanted to, Shazia, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe not quite yet. Um, because maybe you want to talk a little bit with other galleries. But
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Mary, do you have any thoughts about that? Do you want to weigh in on the idea of the pricing? Okay.
Um, I wouldn't do it. I don't see that done very
Right.
often. That said, when I do see art that I like, I am often curious about. I wonder what he is charging for that.
Right.
So it is information that they can find by, text or, getting in touch with you,
That's right.
obviously.
Yeah,
So if they're
exactly.
really interested in buying a piece, they will find you, and you've made it easy to find you. So
That's right. That's right. You have, a place, you have your email address, you might have a phone number, whatever. But yeah, they have a way to get a hold of you if they
I
really
mean,
want something. That's not
the
a
other
problem.
option is to do the shop button, but to do multiples, so to have prints of some of the things on your website, not monotypes, but actually, what are they called? Jelly prints, or
Yep. Jelly. Yep. Yep.
you could
No,
do that.
that's really true.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great way to do that.
So that
So
way you separate
yeah,
the serious work from, you know, m- multiples.
Jazzy, I think prints of your work is a really great idea.
Mm-hmm.
G-clay prints of your work could
Okay.
really be a great thing for you, as well as, of course, selling the individual pieces. But, you know,
Okay.
you,
Like get some prints made for some of the.
yeah,
Okay.
you might do that. But in terms
Okay.
of pricing, here's what I would say. What I tend to do is I think, okay, I might go to, a gallery in Boston and say, okay, like if I'm trying to price my work, I have a piece of work that is on paper and it's 24 by 30, it's acrylic. Um, okay. And then I would, and so I'm like thinking to myself, yeah, I've been doing this a long time. What other artists do I see out there who I think are comparable with as much experience as I am? What are they selling their work for? Because that's comparably priced. And that's kind of what I've done, just kind of knowing because and you could be different. Like if you're in Boston, the pricing could look really different as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to if you're selling in New York or selling in LA. So
Yes.
I do think
Mm-hmm.
maybe one of the first things you could do is, go to some of the galleries in Atlanta, for example, and just,
Okay.
see if you can find somebody who's working more or less like you, maybe collage,
Mm-hmm.
similar sizes, and just see what they're charging. But I'm
All
going to
right.
guess, like, I would just say 16 by 16. And then, of course, you have to think about the price that you're selling it. Um, the price on your website would be wholesale. In other words, you're not
Mm-hmm.
splitting it with anybody. But if you split
Yes.
it with a gallerist, they are going
Yeah.
to take 50%. That's actually typical.
Really? Oh, I
Yeah.
thought I didn't know that. Okay, I thought it's 40/60 or something like that. So.
That's for a cooperative, yeah. They
Ah,
do
okay.
that. Yeah, but most
Okay.
regular galleries are 50-50. Yeah.
All
So,
right. All
if
right.
you want to get $1,000 on something, you want to price it for more. That's why,
Mm-hmm.
maybe don't do any pricing on the website until you know if you're with a gallery or not.
Okay.
But I'm going to say 16 by 16. That's not small. Um, feel like you're somehow between 800 and 1,000 for a size like
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Is that framed or unframed?
That would be
Yeah. Yeah,
unframed.
because if you frame them, that's $300 is for the frame. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's just a guesstimate, that's
Mm-hmm.
not written in stone, Shazia, but that's
Mm-hmm.
that kind of feels like work that I've seen.
Yes.
And then, you could just kind of, take a look at, well, all right, those are 16 by 16, these are 15 by 19, they're more or
Mm-hmm.
less the same price. Maybe you add $50.
Mm-hmm.
Frankly, the pricing is never particularly logical.
Yes.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I think I wish there was a real clear system. I don't think there is. I know people who sell their work, they price by the square inch.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Patty's very into that.
Yeah. So, and I've never done
I'll
that.
give you an anecdote.
Yeah.
Every holiday time, I'm in a gigantic group show in Hillsdale. And the last piece I put in last year, the gallery owners really liked it, and they put it in the front room on the wall on what they consider the premier wall. It didn't sell. I priced it at, I can't remember, like really not very.
Well, like ballpark. Give us a ballpark.
It was like $400, but it was
Okay.
oil,
Yeah.
on canvas.
Yeah.
So I was talking to them about it, and they said, we don't understand why it didn't sell. And there's no rhyme or reason. Like, people will pay like $600 for something that we don't really think that much of. And then people won't buy other things. So you just don't know.
Yeah,
Is
it's
my
very
point.
flaky. I think, but if you're in the ballpark, if you think about that between 800 and 1,000 for something like this, then you at least have a place to start. And when you discuss it, if suppose somebody does want to offer you a show and they'll help price with you, they may say, "Oh no, that's not enough. Let's try it at this." There's a little bit of that back and forth. I think that always happens. But I think you're talking about, that wouldn't be, like, I know this is a bigger piece, so it could be commensurately a little bit more expensive. Maybe you're talking about these bigger pieces being between 1,000 and 2,000. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the pricing stuff, it doesn't seem to make sense. And a lot of times, I think when artists try to price their work too low, and I have done everything you can possibly think of about my prices. I have priced
Mm-hmm.
ridiculously low. I've priced what I thought it was worth. I priced higher than I thought, and it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. So,
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't seem to make a big difference.
and it doesn't seem to make a big difference.
The
So,
one thing I will say, which is what Patty says, is
yeah,
you can't go down.
yeah.
So if you decide to price it, I would go a little bit lower, don't you think, Adria, at the beginning?
Could
Because she
be.
can always raise her prices.
Yeah. So are you saying maybe the bottom line 600 to 1,000, 600 to 800 for 16
Or
by 16?
800 to 1,000, but I mean,
Yeah.
and then sell a few pieces and then raise it to 1,200.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's just getting yourself out there first, Shazia,
Yes.
see what happens with it. But I think that's the right price range.
All right.
All right. Let's see. So you're going to have a chat. You're going to have a chat with the gallery owner, and he's going to,
Yes.
yeah, and maybe he would be the one. He might want to show your work.
I hope, because I like that gallery.
Yeah, I think that's the one you're talking.
He represents a lot of artists, and it seems like as if it fit in.
Okay, good.
So
when is that
let's see.
meeting? When?
I'm emailed, so he has to get back to me.
Okay.
So
Right.
because of the holiday season, it's just getting busy.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are doing their shows with all the artists and, the holiday shows and all that.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, well,
mhm.
good. So you have a plan.
Yes.
You have some pricing now, pricing
Yeah.
information.
Hmm.
And this idea about the prints, you don't have to do that yet, but
Hmm.
you may very well. Do you know about those? You've seen people who have the shop buttons on their websites, right? It's like
Yes.
a separate category. Yeah, and I
Okay.
think your son will be able to help you with that. If that's
Okay.
a great idea. And you know what? You can have it on there. That's also a good thing to advertise on Instagram.
Okay.
Um, an Instagram post is not going to sell your work, and
Yes. Hmm.
unfortunately, but at least to get yourself out there and started. And I think the key is to get some representation,
Hmm.
in Atlanta, and just
Yes.
get started.
Yes.
That's out
Hmm.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Shazia, that's great. So
Thank you.
The
congratulations.
website looks great, by the way.
Website looks great.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
I think
much.
so too.
Yes. Yeah, it looks really, really good. Good. Yeah, excellent. All right. So then we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yes. Hmm.
Great. Have fun
Mhm.
tonight.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
I'm
All right.
still here. I'm
Are you-
gonna,
okay,
yeah.
you can sing.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
good.
kind of got so
All right, very good.
doing
Okay,
other things along with.
good. Yeah, no, that sounds good. You're on your way. You're on your way.
Mhm.
Yeah. Do you have some friends in Atlanta, by the way, I think we talked about this, but do you have a group of artist friends?
Not really. I applied to that Collage Society of Atlanta, and they have some meetings which are like, so I will try to go to the next one and see what they have to offer. I mean, maybe I think they do show their work.
Mm-hmm.
In sometimes, I mean, they arrange a place or something, and but I have just joined it.
Yeah.
So whenever they have those meetings, I think when I will go to one, then I will know
Yeah. Good.
how interesting that is.
Right,
And
exactly. It may not be
yes,
the right group, but anyway, yeah,
yes.
I think that's the next thing to do. Okay. All right, Shelley or Mary, who wants to go next?
I'm happy to go.
Okay.
I feel like I've had this. Is that okay, Shelley? You're all
Of
right?
course. If I can avoid talking about this topic, I am really happy to avoid it. So,
Well,
as Adrian knows.
okay. Well, I think I've had this conversation in this forum before, so maybe this is going to be a little repetitive. But I am hoping to apply to the Brownfield Gallery and do an interview there. And really, I feel that after that, I will know something, whether I would continue with them or I'm going to have to really kind of reevaluate and continue to do these kind of shotgun shows where I'm able to get in on a juried basis.
Right. The open calls. Yeah.
Yes, open calls. And I also have this idea, and this is going to be something no one in this group has talked about at all, but it's something that I have in my mind because I feel that my art works in this situation. And that is because I have this design background and I have a history of being in a lot of different designer-esque stores. I'm aware of artists who've been successful at getting their art printed up and gotten it. And there's a store in particular I feel like mine would fit, and it's Room and Board, which is sort of a mid-century store. There's a woman from Gloucester. Her name is Junie Van Dyke, and her sister is maybe Susan Dearborn or something. She has a gallery up in Gloucester.
Oh.
So Junie Van Dyke has her art in Room and Board. Uh-huh. And there's another artist who recently has her stuff in there, and the last name is Hurley, I think Jolie Hurley, something like that. And I'm looking at the stuff and I'm thinking, my art just fits right in here.
Great.
And so I'm thinking, I'm not sure how to proceed on that.
That's great.
Well,
Yeah,
do you
and I
have
know
a
somebody who's-
contact with the room and board person? Do you know her?
Nope. Yeah, I mean, I think to go to the artist who has been successful, there, it's a little bit too, in that I don't know her. It's
Yeah.
a little too, it's like too, it feels too close to a competitive situation. Because she's very, I saw Junie's presentation at Concord Art, and she's a lovely person. She's been a art teacher of senior citizens up there in the Gloucester area. We could look at her pieces just to see. Her name's Junie Van Dyke. I don't know if you want to pull her up, Adria.
Yeah, I was going to actually, yeah, I was going to say that have you gone to room and board and seen, you know, if they have a policy for submitting designs?
This is sort of a new idea, so no, I don't know what the deal is, but I want to also show you another artist who's in this orbit. Home decor.
Oh, here's room and board. Okay. Ah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah. You know, I mean, you're right. They're definitely So I know somebody who did this for Crate and Barrel. You know,
Okay.
Crate and Barrel
Yeah.
bought a bunch of her prints and, you know, or rather printed it and was selling them that way. Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of a cool thing. And
There's another couple stores that I think, again, this, you know how I've talked about my simple approach to art, which might not always stay with me. I might want to get complicated and crazy and look like Jackson Pollock, who knows? But I think that there's a place for that on a I don't know, mass produced kind of level. And there are stores that, you know, I think would like it. So it's just a matter of how do you get into these conversations?
right. So you need to find.
Yeah, I can do that. So I just wanted, given the subject of tonight's conversation, I think it's been in my head. I'm going to show you. There's another.
have you been in the store? Have you been in room and board?
Oh yes.
So do you know the manager?
Well, there's about probably 8 room and boards in the country. So I think they're based in Minneapolis. I do know that. But no, I don't know the manager of the Boston store.
Yeah, that's what, you know, go to their main, you know, their main website and see if you can find, you know, get a, you know, get a sense of who you might, you know, you might just call them and ask them or email
Yeah,
them.
I think that's right. I mean, I can do all that. Anyway, it's a thought I have.
It's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea.
You know, it's not a gallery. It's not like New York. It's a whole different avenue that I think, because I know how people are arranging their homes right now. It's so, or they have been. This could change soon, but it's been very neutral, right? The grays and the beiges and this kind of art that I'm working with, the selective colors. I just know how they work into space pretty well. So that's my thinking.
Yeah, I think you should talk to the manager in the store because you may be able to begin with just that store.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would give that a shot.
Yeah, you could try it.
I know West Elm works that way.
Yeah.
They deal with local people, but room and board, I think, is national. I mean, I think they pick their artists nationally. Anyway, so I am going to work on that. Yeah. And to work on that, I have to have a lot of things in place to feel confident about. So one thing would be, do I really like my website and how I talk about myself? And, you know, I still think there's room for improvement, but I don't want that to be a holdback. And then the other idea is, am I in a gallery? One thing about a cooperative gallery like Bromfield, you can, there's no restriction on trying to be in another venue.
Right.
So that's good.
Yeah. When would you, excuse me,
Bless you.
excuse me, when will you apply to Bromfield? Is this soon or?
Well, I'm having a conversation hopefully with Alexandra next week, who will give me tips, and then I'm going to write the application.
Okay, great.
So, you know, hopefully the month of December.
Okay. Oh, so soon. All right, great.
Or January or February. No. Soon.
All right, good. So you'll want to have like, 10 pieces or something like that you feel really strong about.
Yeah, and I will have 5 of the larger pieces, and then I also have pieces that I did early on that sort of fit in this group that are smaller.
Yeah.
Yes, I do feel strongly about those early pieces that kind of represent how things develop later on. I think I could weave a story around that. They don't have to know the dates so much. Adria, I'll talk to you before I move in that direction. You know, if I get an interview, that would be a question.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you.
I think that's great, Mary. And I mean, I think that those two, that makes a lot of sense. And you're so lucky that you come from that background. You have this sort of knowledge that so many other people don't. Shazia, that's kind of an interesting thing for you to think about. Just as
Yes,
another possibility.
yes. I always thought about these places. I mean, I have room and board here too, and when you go to these Crate and Barrel, and they have all these prints, but how do you start? I mean, I think you just find out from the store, and maybe they will guide you, give you some number at least to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm sure you have to interview and show your portfolio and all that stuff.
Exactly.
So yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
It's definitely a mass production for sure.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, yeah. But for you too, Mary, the idea of giclée prints of some of your pieces could be another option. But all that's kind of down the line. I think you want to kind of get yourself ready for the Bromfield.
Yeah. That's really my first step. But I also have this, well, why not attitude towards, casting the rod, go big or go home kind of thing.
Yay! Yay! Yeah, and let's see. What about? Do you do an open studios at all? Do you have? Are you part of anything that you could be in an open studios?
No, I think that Lexington does something like that, but I have never been a part of it. I've been doing art for 10 years and it feels like I started this yesterday. I don't know why I have that feeling, but I do, so when you say open studios, well, that's serious, that's it. And
I mean, the nice thing about open studios is that you can talk with people about your work and they get to see, a nice variety of things, and you really get to see what they're drawn to and why. It's just a kind of good testing ground. You can pay a little bit to be part of somebody else's open studio. Like if somebody has a studio at, for example, Monroe Center for the Arts, maybe they'd be willing to share with you. Or other places where they let people from outside communities be part of an open studios. Anyway, or just one in your house.
Yeah, I do have a space that would be receptive to that. It's in the basement. They could just circle around the driveway and be right where I am.
You said you're in Lexington.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, what about LexArts?
I just never contacted them. I haven't. Yeah.
Just see if they have open studios, because that. Anyway, I mean that's just an aside. It's just another kind of way to put your work out in a more casual situation and have conversations.
There is in Lexington, I don't know if you know this, a new storefront that is a gallery. And it's a coffee shop. I think the town is supporting it. because we've had closed storefronts like all towns. And so there's this, and I just haven't done that yet. And they have 4 or 5 artists on display. It's like a natural for me to approach
Natural.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that sounds like you have some things
I have ideas.
ahead.
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent.
Thanks.
Great. All right on schedule here. Shelley.
Well, I have approached Tanya Grunert again, and it's very hard to, it's just really hard to get her here. I mean, I did send her my new website. She said she'd take a look. She says she's coming over.
Yeah.
And then Kathleen is going to close Furnace on Paper until the spring.
Mm-hmm.
So I did go and see her, was it last weekend or the weekend before? And she was friendly, but kind of non-committal. And then I talked to Shay, said to me, well, why don't you approach Susan Ellie? These are people in Hudson or near Hudson, which is, I'm very close to Hudson.
Uh-huh.
And so one of the, I guess one of my questions, fears, concerns is I don't like almost anyone she shows. And I don't like the space. And I don't think my work will look good in the space. It's just, there's no intimacy to the space. It's just open, and the work, I've gone to the gallery multiple times, but I don't think it's well lit. And so the other gallery that I am interested in is called Public Private.
Oh, yeah.
And also in Hudson. I don't really know how to approach him. I do know some artists that show there. The artists up here are very, well, so far my experience, I'm going to couch it in those terms, which is more positive, are very cliquey. And it's very hard to break into that clique. So one of the people that I know who shows there, she's been to my studio. I don't think she responded that well to my work. Our work's very different. But she came and she was, she spent time here and we had a nice conversation. And when I went to the gallery, she was very generous in introducing me to everyone she knew, including the owner. But that was it. So
So, all right. So Shelley, so just to, get everybody up on page of where Shelley is in Western Mass. And right now you're looking in the area, just fairly near you.
I'm looking fairly near me. I haven't really done open calls. I did try, and I had approached a couple of people about Open Studio in Hudson, which is kind of a yearly event, which is a good thing to be part of.
Yeah.
I am not in New York State, so I can't do it. And, I've asked people sort of indirectly, but I mean, in other words, I would, pay a small fee to bring some work to their studios, but I've gotten zero response. So that's over because that was in October.
Okay. Can you rent a space in Hudson if you do it? Or in like, the summertime one that they have? Is it possible for you to rent?
I don't think they have a summertime one.
Well, that upstate open studios that we went to.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I have to look into that. The whatever it's called. I can't remember what it's called.
Right.
I think I've missed the application deadline. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. Yeah.
But I could definitely look into that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, it seems like that would be really a great thing to have your work, not in a gallery, but together in a space that could be seen, more publicly like that. And the Open Studios is such a great time to do that. So, um, I wonder,
I have to look into that. I mean, that's the whole thing. The New York side,
yeah,
definitely, even though I'm like 11 miles away,
yeah,
they definitely, like, I can't apply to any of the New York grants, no
yeah,
NIFA, no nothing.
yeah. New York has so much more than Massachusetts does in the way of,
Yeah,
funding and grants of all kinds.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Shelley, your work is different in that, you're looking for a gallery that is, um, I would say um, more in the contemporary range. I mean, trying to sort of explain what I did this here. I'm trying to get my tab.
Oh,
It's
you
just,
use Firefox? Hmm.
yeah. Let's bring up your website here. So you're looking for, collectors for your for this work. I mean, I think
Well,
you're
it's funny. Today when I was shoveling snow, one of my collectors from a very long time ago, who was really, a big champion of my work,
Hmm.
um, I was thinking of contacting him again, even though I haven't talked to him in 25 years.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Um, and I'm not really sure how to approach him. But I mean, he became, when I first met him, he had just started to collect art.
Uh-huh.
Um, I think he's a fairly big collector right now.
Ah.
I'm not 100% sure of that, but I think so. And
Mhm.
I, um, I'm trying to figure out how I would approach him. Like, what would I say? Um, because I don't, I'm gonna have to send it to his corporate address
Yeah.
because I don't
Couldn't
know.
you just say that you have some nice work that's new and that you might, and if he was interested in seeing it, please give you a call.
Yeah. I mean, what about just sort of,
I mean, just keep it super casual
I would
and
keep it casual. Yeah. Ask, I mean, yeah, I would. I would. You have nothing to lose. And, he
oh,
liked your work in the past. He could be very interested in something now. But yeah, just approach it like a friend. Like, hey, how are you? It's been a while. You know, I'm now up in Western Mass, and I've begun to work again. I'm really excited about some of the things that I've done.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, that's what I'm thinking about, and
That's
it
great.
would, um, and whenever Alex, who's had COVID and is super busy, but I'm gonna put my older work back on the website, and he owns a couple of those
Oh, uh-huh.
paintings. So
There you go. Yes, Shelley, I think that's a great idea. It can't hurt,
no, can't hurt.
you know? Worst that can happen is that he doesn't write back. I mean,
Exactly. Exactly.
had that happen.
Yeah.
That's yeah. But yeah, why not? Why not? That's really great. And I
But
mean,
I mean, yes, it would be great if he bought something from me, but I also feel like I would like to have a wider audience
mhm,
than I have. So,
yeah,
and it's just challenging to get
yeah,
people over here.
yeah.
It
So,
just is. And maybe that's just the name of the game, and I just have to be
I mean,
persistent.
I think it is challenging. And I was going to say, this is uh a little bit sort of, what was I going to say? Back to the topic of the different art worlds or the different art villages in the art world altogether. Um, we have some people have real collectors who, and you've been, really lucky to have that. and they develop, they work with you over time, and that often happens that you get a collector when you're younger, and they come along and support you through the rest of your life,
That would be
um,
nice.
which
That
can be
would be
really nice,
nice.
and it's and the other thing is that we all have to deal with all the young people that are graduating from art school every single year with, graduate degrees too, who, and there's something in the art world that is very much like high school, as you said, and it's also, going with the trends, just the way high school goes with the trends. So, you know, we don't like that, but we have to deal with it. So, you're kind of, we all have to kind of figure out how we're going to deal with that. Like, if that's an important thing. I mean, I think when you're talking about the kind of gallery you're interested in being in, that is because, it's a gallery that, is more artist's art as opposed to, galleries that are more, accessible to more people that, don't come, or don't have a lot of background. So it's even harder because you're coming into it later, and is what you're doing now on trend? Who knows? But this is the stuff that we can't control, so we just have to do the best we can with it.
So what about, like an AIR gallery like Holly Wong is
Yeah.
part of now in
So
the city?
yeah, that would be great. I mean, they have these, um, that's also a cooperative, and you can join and then pay for the year, and you get a show or something like that out of it.
And what about Bird Cliff?
I
I
don't know.
think they have, oh, that's in Woodstock.
Mm.
I should look into that. I think they
Yeah.
have, you can become a member, and you can also, I think a couple of times a year they have a show that is not members,
Mhm.
but they're huge, they're, and it would be, for me, I feel like it would be nice to have a two-person show at
Yeah,
least so that the work coheres a little better.
exactly. No, I think you're on something. And what about Garrison Art Center? You can apply to have a two-person show or three-person show there, and that's in your area, and that's not too far away.
Not quite 2 hours.
Yeah, but
Yeah, that's what it is.
yeah, that's what it is. So I think you're in the right direction, and I do think that all those things, I think you'll have to try them all.
Right. You don't have a magic wand?
I mean,
You're the teacher. You're supposed to have a magic wand.
God, no. I mean, I'm maybe just a step ahead of all of you. That's all I am. I'm just somebody who's been, doing it for a little bit longer. That's I can say. Um, yeah, but I think, this is a really good attitude, and I think, that's what you might really want to do. I think that's great. What about Atlantic Gallery? What about applying there too? Because that's in the city.
Yeah, I have to look into it. I don't know enough about it.
Yeah.
I think, is that a cooperative gallery or a vanity gallery?
Cooperative.
Mhm.
Mm. Anyway,
Okay,
yay.
I'll look into
We're in
it.
progress. All right, everybody. I mean, this is great. So I don't know if Shazi is still there or not, but
I'm here. I was listening.
okay, good. Oh, you see.
Like, okay, there's still time, so.
Yeah, and the pricing, Mary, how are you about pricing? Do you feel like you've got that under control? Do you have a kind of an understanding of what you might charge for your work?
No, I think my work, I think I'm in the art starter group, so I would price things accordingly. I thought your prices that you suggested to Shazia, I thought I would not go that high for my work. So it would be more like maybe, I don't know, five
Why
to
not?
seven.
Why
I don't
not?
know. I just did. I don't know. I guess because what I see priced at Concord Art, for instance,
Yeah, so that's different. I mean, it's an art association,
yeah,
right? And there are people that are not necessarily with a gallery. So the prices are, when I go to those shows, their prices are all over the place.
right. They are.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think, depending on the size, I think you want to start at least like 500 to 800 for something smaller and then work up to your, larger sizes commensurate.
Okay. Yes, I think for these pieces that I've been doing that are more like 36 by 24, those would have to be higher.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a nice size.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was deliberate because I just wanted a bigger presentation of what's in my head.
Yeah. And it was really exciting to see you push that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I have sold through Concord Art. So I think you're right that prices are all over the place.
They really are. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, that last show, it was just wild what the prices were. So yeah, there's some reasonable place in the middle there, and I'd say it's, somewhere between 500 and 1,000. And then, according to the sizing and the framing and all that stuff. And then remembering that, trying to figure out what you want to get if a gallery is taking half. So
again, I will be circling back to you if I get to the Bromfield stage, all of that about all of this, because I mean, we need sounding boards on all of this.
Exactly. And I just think, what I'm telling you is just, I mean, I just go looking a lot. I'm, sure we all look, and, the more you look and you go to these different places and you get a sense of what people are charging, you sort of get a sense of what seems reasonable and what seems crazy,
Yeah.
It's just like, all right, what are these people doing? Where are they? Is it the same medium that I'm using? Is it framed? Well, all this stuff is really, you just take it in and you can make the best guess you can. Because there really isn't any, way of knowing otherwise. So, all right. Well, we have like 2 more classes. And as I said, we could have this conversation, with Kim and Pam when they come back too about this crazy, the famous banana that is going nuts over, and how to make sense of that. But and that's a whole other conversation. But I think.
Well, what about the piece that sold years ago, for $6.8 million, the not RFP, but it was a fungible.
Oh, the fungible token stuff. Yeah, FT. Yeah. All of this stuff has nothing to do with the art. It has a whole lot more to do with collectability and people trying to make money. They're not looking at the art for.
Or to demonstrate that they have so much money, it doesn't matter. Apparently the collector who bought the banana ate the banana.
Yes, but it's like, it comes with a special certified piece of paper. I mean, you got to really look at this, like, this guy's a joker. He called the piece The Comedian, and he
called it what?
He called it The Comedian. It's called The Comedian. And so all of his work is really, he's a joker in his art, and some of it's very clever. I mean, he had a huge show at the Whitney. So first of all, he's a very well-established artist, and his work is up there in price. This was, something that got a lot of people's attention. I mean, the entire universe is talking about it, for better or for worse. And so, it's more than just a piece of art now. Now it's like a meme. So It's worth money because it's famous just for being itself. And then you're talking about stuff that we can't even begin to, think about as art, really, But you also, I think, can look at these people like Warhol or like, Duchamp, and people who really changed the game, in art, like completely from what had come before. And, you may hate the work or love it, but they did do something, about the sort of the culture changed somehow, and it depends on what you think about what art should be. But, there is art that's for decorative reasons, and that's fine. Then there's art that people are making to make a political statement, and there's art that people are making, to basically say fuck you to the system, and hopefully make some kind of an impact. But it's really hard to talk about all of that in the same sentence, isn't it? Because don't make a lot of sense. But it's a big conversation, and you really can't sort of neatly pack it away. And it can't. I think that these kinds of things, this pricing and this popularity can't destroy why we do our own work, or even the worth of doing our own artistic expression. It just can't. So it's sometimes really hard to make that distinction and stay strong in believing that what you're doing is really important. That's why it's really important to have art friends and a group of other people, colleagues.
How true, Adria. Thank you. Yeah.
That's why Shazia, and that's kind of the idea behind the art chat, because there are all these people kind of doing this very thing and looking for camaraderie with it. It's a harsh world. And there's all kinds of worlds in it. So I prefer to find the world that, you're striking out and, making something that pleases you, and, you want to share with other people, and in the process, you're discovering something about who you are as a person. It's kind of where I'm coming from. And I think there's a place in the world for that. All right, everybody. Well, on a happy note.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Adria. See you, Shelley. See you,
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank
Shazia.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a good couple weeks.